welcome. Have we got something so exciting, so huge to share with you? This is so important. It's very serious, but it's also beautiful. And before we actually share this with you, you're with a friend or they've sent you this video, someone who loves you, who respects you, who cares about you, who holds you in high regard. Before we get into the detail, we have to lay the foundation correctly because it's so huge what we're talking about. It involves every single one upon the planet, and it's going to be such a mind-blowing experience that I can't wait to tell you. But before I do that, you have to be in the right mindset. Now, everyone is slipping in and out constantly of different states of being, right? These states of being are being someone that can think outside the box, a critical thinker, someone who cares about people, that knows what love is, someone that seeks to find solutions to problems rather than give up. So you're not somebody that gives up, you're somebody always will rise to the challenge. And of course, we all slip in and out of these, where sometimes we rise to the challenge, sometimes we don't, sometimes we give up very easily. But actually, we all have the freedom of choice, we all have the freedom to take action. What we want to be in is on the positive side of it, where we're actually striving to find the solutions to problems. We're opening our mind, our heart, we're doing the right thing, and we're acting morally and ethically correct as much as possible, and with our optimum being of high vibration, positive acceptance, and going forth and just doing what we know is the right thing, but is actually a beautiful thing as well. So I want to inspire that in you. I want to inspire that vibration in you, because that is what you need to be in to be able to listen and take in what we're sharing with you, and not self-sabotage, because this is huge. This involves everyone, and you are a very powerful individual. This requires you to really understand what we're talking about, because it's a transformational thing I'm about to share with you. Before we get into it, again, laying things out for you, we need to kind of bring you up to par in terms of a few things. Now, a lot of people don't spend much time or thought considering what our freedoms are, what our rights are, human rights, our God-given rights. You might not believe in God, and that's your choice. You're free to choose what you wish to believe, but we are all born with God-given rights. These are rights which we have naturally. No government can give them to us, no government can take them away. They shouldn't be able to give them or take them away. Because if you're in North Korea, for example, we know that they have taken most freedoms away. It's absolutely abysmal, right? But in most countries around the world, we have a lot of our freedoms still, but we are seeing some infringement upon those freedoms. So the main freedoms that I just want to bring to your awareness that are God-given. We are part of creation. You can say God is creation, and it's constant, it's expansion, and that is true, right? We know that. So we have the freedom, the right to have sustenance that's clean and high quality food, water, air, to have a roof over our head, to be able to live abundantly or thrive, not just survive, but thrive. That is a human right. Like if we're living in nature, okay, they don't have the intellect to be able to build things like we can and live in the kind of ways that we can, well protected. Currently, they have threats and stuff like that as well, right? Our biggest threat is humanity, right? It's humans against humans. But that's not the way it has to be. It's kind of based like that from an environmental point of view. Now, I know that some of what I'm sharing with you, as I'm sharing this, is going to start evoking certain feelings and emotions within you. These are emotions which are actually stemming from a kind of fear state, where you might start to think that something is unreasonable, unrealistic, a protective mechanism within you to keep you safe, because what we're talking about is the unknown. I'm trying to talk to you about stuff which you're not really given much thought to necessarily, right? So you'll have reactive thoughts. These first thoughts that come into your mind doesn't mean that they are more intelligent thoughts and more credible thoughts than ideas and the concepts and the thought and planning that has gone into what we're sharing with you. We've been talking about what we're doing here and what we're ultimately going to be doing as a people worldwide. Many of us around the world, millions of us actually, are talking about this and are planning this. And so this is something that you don't want to be coming across like arrogant, like, oh, I instantly know more about this kind of thing than you, and so yeah, this can't work. That is obviously self-sabotaging. It's coming out of a state of fear. It's coming out of just conditioning. So you need to break through that, right? Okay. So again, back to the rights. So you've got sustenance, you've got the right to basically express yourself, the right to love, and the right to believe what you wish to believe, the right to choice, the right to travel freely. Now, all of these things are God-given rights. And the one thing that actually is a parameter to these freedoms is that you're entitled to all of those freedoms, absolutely, providing you don't cause any harm to any other, in the process. Because that the actual natural universal divine law, God-given law, is do no harm to anyone else. You just take care of everyone, actually do the right thing. And that is the one law that covers absolutely everything. And as long as you abide by that law, you can have all of the freedoms in the world. And that's the God-given freedom, and that's the God-given law. So now you understand that, I need to bring to your attention also that we're kind of actually been living in an increased level of infringement upon our freedoms through legislation, acts. These are instruments that are created by governments. Now, government, we have actually, as the people, given power to. We are sovereign individuals, we're sovereign beings, which means that we are actually the highest authority of the land. Now, we've given authority to a government to run and manage the countries that we're living in, but that's to be done on behalf of the people, for the benefit of the people. And of course, they're failing the people in many, many ways. We've seen it constantly. Not necessarily their fault, because the systems itself, capitalism, greed, the way that actually has been in place for so long, the financial instruments and all the rest of it, the legal system itself, you can't fix one area without causing more problems in another area. It doesn't work. So this is why what we're going to be coming on to in a minute is a solution which is a holistic, worldwide solution that solves most problems across the world. And again, you're going to be thinking, oh, how can you solve most problems of the world? There's too many problems, it's impossible. Now, that, not being offensive now, what you might say is ignorance. Not that you're ignorant, you're stupid, you're just ignorant to actually what we've been planning and talking and considering on a very high level, many of us around the world, millions, for some time now. So of course we've got a broader perspective on it than you do. Doesn't make us better than you, it just means that we've been thinking about it for longer than you have, and we've been using critical thought to do that and actually looking at the problems of the world. And so this is how we've got now an amazing solution. Now, the sovereignty that we have is true. That means that we all are the highest authority of the land. We don't have any authority over anyone else because everybody is sovereign. But we do have a higher authority than governments. We've given them power. We can take that power away, and we will take that power away because they haven't been looking after us. Now, don't get worried about this. We're doing this peacefully, and we're doing this by the consent and the consensus of the people worldwide to do this, right? The reason why I need to point this out is that the legislation in itself, the acts, the instruments, they are actually in breach of the natural law, the universal divine law, which is do no harm to another, because they actually, with penalties, fines, the emotional stress, the financial stress, it causes physical harm to people, causes emotional harm to people. And often these breaches of these acts and the legislations, there's been no actual direct harm caused by an individual that's broken one of those acts, right? Infringed upon legislation, but they're being penalized for it. And so ultimately what it's doing is, it's with all of these continuous growth of legislations, it's meaning that we're allowed to move less and less freely. We're not allowed to do this anymore, we're not allowed to do that anymore, we have to keep up to date all the time. It's just too much, right? We understand, of course we do, that actually in the way that we've been living, legislations have served a purpose, and they try to keep things from not going into this chaotic state of absolute chaos. But actually, when we actually start to operate, all of us, in an abundant way, where we don't actually have to worry about money ever again, for example, where we all have everything which is the best, we live equally and abundantly, then actually you're not going to have people thieving, conflicts, people going to war with each other, anything like that. You're not going to have jealousy, envy, you're not going to have psychosis in this, like anything like what we're seeing now, right? The legislations and all that sort of stuff is driving psychosis, it's driving emotional stress, and the world is just becoming more chaotic through that structure. So this is what we need to kind of break down. So the natural universal divine law supersedes these legislations, because those legislations are man-made law, they're contract law, they're made by man, they're not made by God, they're not God-given laws, right? And these man-made laws and legislations, the way that they actually work upon you and upon everyone is that they can only hold it against you because you are a living human being of flesh and blood, but you are actually representing something which is called a straw man birth certificate legal fiction. It's not you, it's an identity that is actually a contract that you have entered into as a human being upon birth and upon registration of your birth, had this legal fiction created. Now, you could choose to represent that whenever you wish, but ultimately people are tricked into using that every day, all the time, in many, many different contracts, and they don't realize about this jurisdiction of contract, corporate law, maritime law, which is basically the whole legislation is based upon. And essentially what it means is that you are able to be charged for committing a crime that isn't actually a real crime. A real crime, as the common law is doing harm to someone, causing injury to someone, or causing loss to someone, stealing from someone, for example. Those are actually the common laws, right? Okay, and those are real crimes. Anything else is not really causing any harm to anybody, but you're being penalized because you're perceived to be a threat to the society. We need to completely get rid of all of that legislation, and we're doing it because we're actualizing the actual universal natural law again, which is do no harm to another. That covers everything else. And we're going to be re-establishing a code of conduct and ethics and morals, which everybody has in their heart, providing that they obviously have a great environment that promotes them wanting to be good. And you do that through creating abundance for everyone, equality for everyone, getting rid of greed and getting rid of fear. And you do those things because greed and fear, they come hand in hand. So that, you know, the last people to kind of open their minds and hearts to what I'm about to share with you are going to be the super wealthy. Why? Because as the super wealthy, they are the most greedy, and as such they've got the most to, in their minds, lose, which means that they've got the most fear out of everyone. So this is again all about a fear thing that stops people from ultimately seeing the broader picture, because when you're in fear, you're just one dimensional, because the whole mechanism of fear in the natural world is to actually make sure that you are escaping predators and surviving. So that means you just see where you can go, where you can get away as quickly as possible to survive. But it means that you can't see other things. You can't see where you need to get food on the way or where you can actually build a home. You're just seeing one thing, right, which is to survive. You need to actually go above that fear and actually see that what we're creating is something that isn't just about survival. This is about thriving. And so that's why you need to apply a different state of being, the critical thinking, out of the box thinking, finding a solution to every problem, doing what's morally and ethically right, being in a state of love, being in a state of excitement and happiness and fulfillment. These are the things that basically we're going to be generating and driving for. So now I've given you that groundwork that I've laid down, that foundation. We have upon the planet an instrument that was created in 2020, right? And this is a worldwide decentralized platform. It's a website that is collecting the votes, the agreements, the consents from every man, woman and child upon the planet. Everyone can vote, doesn't matter what age it is, it's an ongoing vote. And it's visible. We're tracking and logging every single agreement that comes in to get the consent from the people to decree their sovereignty, their authority, but not having authority over anyone else, but obviously their highest authority over government, to actualize this divine natural law and actually take over ownership, shared ownership of everything upon the planet, so that we can get rid of the polluting industries, companies that are pointless, that don't serve people or the planet, and actually focus on improving and developing the important essential industries upon the planet, but actually creating beautiful homes and beautiful environments for everyone to live in, absolutely abundantly, equally, removing greed, removing the conflict, removing the stress from all people's lives, improving the balance. Now, again, you'll be thinking, how's this going to work? Who's going to pay for people doing this, and who's actually going to do the work? If everybody's got all of the money in the world, how's that going to work? What we're doing is we're providing a vehicle to transition from one experience to a new experience. And so what we're going to be doing is ultimately using money as a bad tool to a money as a good tool, and that's only ever going to be used as a good tool because it's universally recognized as a value. Everybody's going to have an equal amount of this money, but the money is given to them in contribution for just doing 10 to 20 hours a month of essential work. Because when you've got billions of people that are doing just 10 to 20 hours a month of essential work, you've got more than enough people, because you've got billions more people now contributing than you ever had before. So that means that we've got more than enough human resources to do everything essential and more. It means that everybody's got a beautiful balance of life. If you work extra time because you're creative, you're an inventor, you love it, it's your passion, you love feeling the recognition that you're getting for doing these amazing creations, that's absolutely up to you to do that. Of course it is. But realistically, everyone only essentially has to do 10 to 20 hours a month of this essential work. It means that we can then support our family unit, our communities better, and look after the elderly, the disabled, that needs to be done. We can create abundant food for everyone upon the planet very quickly and easily with no restriction on funding. We can clean up this planet so quickly, just like that. And so this is the beauty of what we're doing, and it's visible. We're capturing the voice, the agreements of people. So once it's seen visibly, globally, in each country, as they reach in the majority, we can start transitioning the systems over to the people. The committees, people will be managing things and asking people to just start helping, chipping in and supporting these things. And the other polluting industries quickly stop. They just end, because we don't need them. They're not serving the people. And we create amazing things that we can create now because the money is available unlimited to create what's good for the people on the planet. Paying ourselves ultimately for our contributions. it's equal. There's nothing to gain in actually paying yourself more, because actually you're going to be getting everything free, because we're all equal shareholders of everything on the planet. So that's how it works. There's a lot of thought that's gone into this. We do have a plan. We're talking about it, discussing it, have been doing it for years now. Many of us have actually been thinking about this for a lot longer than the last couple of years. So you have to open your mind and realize that you may be a very intelligent individual, but you can't put your mind even an hour or 2 hours or 5 hours into what we have been putting into for years on this, okay? And so this is what we're creating. It's very important that you actually take this seriously, that you take action. We want to do this as quickly as possible, because we can transform this planet very rapidly. We can end war, we can end the threat to World War, Third World War very quickly. If you introduce this to 3 people today within 24 hours, right? They watch this video, they watch maybe 1 or 2 other videos if they want, but they go on to the website and give their consent that day, 3 people, and then they go and find 3 others themselves within 24 hours. That's 9 people. You then find 3, that's 27 people. You then find 3, that's 81 people. You then find 3, it's 243, and that grows in 21 days. Everybody just finding 3 and duplicating that. 21 days, we will reach the worldwide majority. We've got people acting as guardians, going and speaking to people in remote villages to actually get their agreements. So we will get the majority very, very quickly, because this serves every single human being upon the planet. And this is something that we are so excited to bring to you. But you have a very important role now to stand up in your authority, to show your sovereignty, your divinity. Give your agreement today, share it with 3 other people, join us. We are on Facebook. We've got the Global People's Monetary System with Rick Dewars. We have one I've created in the UK, which is GPMS UK in brackets. We'll be creating more other groups on Facebook around the world, but we have the YouTube channel, we have the Facebook group, we have Telegram. So just get involved, join us. In celebration, we're creating this new reality, this new experience, and it's going to happen very, very quickly. Thank you.